This is the Lifetime Crank Adjust in-ground glass basketball hoop. What stands out to me is how it plays like a professional setup and still looks clean and solid after years of everyday use and rough weather. I see this as a true in-ground basketball system for families who actually play, and for anyone who wants a reliable, professional-feeling hoop at home without turning the yard into a wobbly science project. If you have people of different ages and skill levels shooting on the same hoop, and you want something that will not tip, shake, or fade, this is the kind of setup that makes sense. The design choices here are all about how the hoop feels when you actually shoot. The tempered glass backboard is the big one. It is clear, it looks sharp, and it gives the ball a realistic bounce that you simply do not get from plastic. Bank shots feel right. Rebounds come off with a predictable angle. The square two-piece steel pole is thick and planted, and the powder-coated finish has held up for me through humid summers and frozen winter days. The Slam-It Ultra rim is springy but firm, so it takes dunks and aggressive play without warping or feeling mushy. The height crank is mounted low enough that I can reach it easily, and it uses a screw-style mechanism that moves the rim smoothly from about 7.5 feet up to the full 10 feet. There is a small safety pin you pop out, you crank to where you want, and you lock it again. The whole system bolts down to the concrete base, so it feels permanent when you play, but I can unbolt it if I ever need to move. Setup was more straightforward than I expected, but there is real work involved. I am not a handyman, and this still went fine with a little planning and an extra set of hands. I marked out the spot, dug the hole, mixed and poured the concrete for the base, and let it cure. After that, the assembly above ground took about 1 hour. The manual is clear and the parts are labeled well, which I appreciated. I had a friend help me lift and steady the backboard because that tempered glass panel is heavy, and you do not want to wrestle it alone. The bolt-down design made it easier to align everything, and I liked knowing I could take the hoop with me later if I ever change homes. Once it was up, there was almost no fine-tuning or fiddling. I tightened the hardware, checked the anchors, and started shooting. Day-to-day use is where this hoop shows its value. The crank is easy to grip and turns without sticking, so I can go from lower height for younger kids to regulation height for older players and adults in a quick minute. It does take a number of turns to move the full range, so it is not instant, but it is smooth and controlled, and I prefer that to the jerky feel of telescoping designs. The rim absorbs force without clanking around, and the glass keeps the response crisp. When you make a bank shot, you can hear and feel that glass snap, not a dull thud. The pole does not sway when the ball hits the rim, which makes free throws and three-point work more consistent. The net is a thick nylon that has not frayed on me, even after years of sun, rain, and the occasional ice storm. Performance-wise, the tempered glass makes the biggest difference. There is a reason professional arenas use it. The bounce is lively yet controlled, which matters for layups, bank shots, and rebounding drills. If you have ever tried to practice off a plastic board, you know that weird dead zone feeling when the ball hits and dies. That does not happen here. The stability from the in-ground mount changes the way games feel. When I go up for a layup and hit the backboard hard, the whole system does not shimmy. The Slam-It Ultra rim has a reassuring give when you dunk or hang briefly after a finish, and it snaps back to level without staying bent or feeling loose. There is a quick metallic sound if you really hammer the rim, which is normal for a spring rim and has never bothered me or caused an issue. Durability has been excellent. I live where summers are hot and humid and winters swing down into freezing temperatures. Over about 5 years, the powder-coated steel has not rusted or chipped. The graphics on the backboard have not faded. The glass has stayed clear. I rinse the board now and then to remove dust, and I wipe it when water spots build up, because glass will show fingerprints and smudges. After big storms, I check the bolts at the base just to be careful. I have not had to re-tighten often, but it is a good habit. The hoop has not leaned or shifted, and it has never rattled in wind the way portable hoops do. Let me talk through a few real sessions. When I lower the rim to around 7.5 feet, my youngest can actually enjoy the game without needing a step stool. It keeps them engaged, and it lets me shoot casual layups and play small games with the kids. For practice, I raise it to 10 feet for my oldest, who runs through set plays, free throws, and three-point lines. She can adjust the height herself, which has been a nice confidence boost. On weekends, a few neighbors stop by. We run 21, play simple half-court games, or just shoot around as the sun goes down. The hoop becomes part of the hangout without becoming the focus, and the feel of the backboard helps everybody try bank shots and clean finishes that would be frustrating on a cheaper setup. A specific routine I like is a bank shot ladder. I start low on the block, working off the square, then move out and up the angle. The tempered glass makes these drills honest. If I hit the right spot, the ball drops. If I miss by an inch, it kicks out the way it should. I do a similar drill with layups on both sides to check footwork and touch off the board. The consistency lets me measure progress from week to week. When I want to have fun, I drop the height a bit and work on 1-foot takeoffs and simple dunks. The rim takes it, the pole does not shake, and it feels safe. There are some thoughtful touches that add up over time. The crank placement is low enough to reach without a stool, but not so low that kids bump into it while playing. The bolt-down base is a quiet win because it makes the whole thing feel professional once installed, and it gives me the option to unbolt and take the system with me later. The square pole reduces flex compared to round poles I have used in the past. That shape, combined with the tempered glass and the rim, is what gives the hoop that confident, planted feeling. The nylon net is heavier than most, so it does not tangle or flutter weirdly in wind, and it has not bleached out under the sun. It is not perfect. The glass backboard looks the best when it is spotless, so if you are picky about smudges, you will be wiping it now and then. The height adjustment is smooth, but going from the lowest setting up to regulation height takes a fair amount of cranking. I do not mind the hand workout, but if you plan to change height constantly during a single session, know that it takes a moment. Installation requires a proper concrete base, which means planning, digging, and waiting for the pour to cure. That is not a criticism of the hoop as much as the nature of any real in-ground system, but it is worth keeping in mind. Also, lifting the glass backboard during assembly absolutely requires 2 people. Do not try that part alone. After years with this hoop, I am confident recommending it to families who want a serious setup that can grow with their players, and to anyone who cares about a real basketball feel at home. The size of the backboard is right in that sweet spot. It is a 54-inch glass board, which is big enough for proper bank shots and layups without dominating a driveway. The range from 7.5 feet to 10 feet makes the hoop useful for little kids, older kids, and adults. The durability has been excellent. The maintenance is close to zero. I check bolts after storms, I wipe the glass once in a while, and that is about it. If you are choosing between a portable plastic hoop and an in-ground tempered glass system, this felt like the smarter long-term move for me. The stability, the true backboard response, and the crank adjustment have kept this hoop in use for everything from casual evening shoots to serious practice sessions. It is the kind of thing that quietly becomes part of the daily rhythm in a backyard or driveway, and it stays ready without demanding attention. I would buy it again. I appreciate how it looks, how it plays, and how little I have had to think about it after the concrete set. If you value the feel of a professional-style backboard, want height flexibility for different players, and do not want to worry about rust or fading, this is a dependable choice. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the Lifetime Crank, a just in-ground glass basketball hoop. Thank you for watching.